So this is our discussion for Module 7, Week 11. The questions we need to discuss are question 1. Your team reviewed the assigned site for the first 4 modules and analyzed the strengths and weaknesses of the web design. With your team, study the dimensions of divergence carefully and see if you can modify any that should be added or deleted. It should be based on the principles for teaching each designated component, the sequence of instructions, and the level of complexity of the generic skill. And the second question is, look at the components of the generic skill for this review, how the procedure was presented, a set of steps, an important list of principles, and an unorganized laundry list. So I guess the 3 that we're going to discuss and kind of what the adding and deleting would be the memorization, the procedures, and then the principles. So I guess we can go ahead and start off with memorization.
Okay. First off, like when we reviewed this site, basically this site really did not have any elements of memorization. It didn't use any type of mnemonic devices. It didn't use any type of rhymes or anything like that. So for this instance, I think we need to add some memorization skills or some memorization generic skills. And the first one is obviously a mnemonic. Like, for instance, some of the examples we came up with were FOIL for mathematics, or Roy G. Biv for art, or Nacho for what was it, Michelle?
It's for the planets in order from the sun. My very educated mother just served us nachos. Mercury,
Okay.
Venus, Earth, and Mars. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune.
Okay, and that would be great for learning some of the principles and concepts that are included on this website. So far, right now, it doesn't show any of those types of devices or any of those types of memorizations of information or procedures or whatever. So I think the first step would be to add some of those devices to the website.
Yeah, that also goes along with chunking the material for the kids to make it easier. Just as if they're going to have to memorize anything, just making it chunking and easier for them to understand and kind of code it with something in their head to make it fun.
Right, and it also adds a way or an organization or whatever to add the information to their brain, their filing system. So it's not just dryly throwing a concept at them and asking them to remember it. It's giving them a way to remember and a way to practice and bring it into long-term memory. Some of the Okay, go ahead.
Can I just go into reference really quick and let you know that Scholastic did a research, and from the Research Foundation of Scholastics, they said that what you're saying, these basic concept math skills, when they can really get that fluently, then they can spend more of their energy on the higher order math skills. So this site is very good for that root memorization and those types of things.
Oh, I would like to also throw in a reference at this point. I think that's kind of imperative. We really haven't defined what a generic skill is, and that's kind of the topic of this discussion. A resource that I got from Rena George from the International Journal of Fundamental Psychology and Social Sciences defines generic skills, not only in education but in the workplace, as generic skills are often perceived as high-level skills that are transferable and independent of subjects or discipline. They are basic skills necessary for doing a job well. They enable a person to take initiative, adopt a problem-solving approach, make sound and critical decisions, and contribute to the overall growth of an organization. Usually, generic skills are valued over and above technical or job-specific skills due to their generic nature. The generic skills include reading and writing skills, communication skills, and computational skills, along with logical reasoning, problem solving, and decision making, which make an individual an asset to the organization. Thus, the lifelong learning and employability in contingent upon well-developed generic skills. The competencies and knowledge in which which form the basis of lifelong learning are often referred to as generic skills. So I just wanted to throw that one in there just so that we define what a generic skill was.
Very good. All right, does anybody else have anything else to add in about memorization?
Maybe the different type of generic skills or tools that can be used for memorization. Does anybody have any of those?
That seems to be when we looked at it as far as generic skills are concerned. Concepts and principles and procedures and memorization all kind of go hand in hand, and all of them rely heavily on memorization and, you know, metacognition, or knowing how to learn, learning how to learn, and the devices that Ryan was talking about, whether the rhymes or whether acronyms help the students learn this and are able to retrieve it, so it becomes meaningful understanding, actual learning. And you know, with the dimensions of divergence on this website, we looked at it, and it's so broad because it covers so many grade levels that it's hard to separate out the tasks that are non-divergent, the ones that are real simple and are just like recipes, or ones that are complex divergent. And so with these mnemonics, I think those procedures can help them understand the principles that the dictionary is trying to get across.
I mean, not only that, but it also, not only would they learn it in this for this subject matter, but they can also utilize, once they use these mnemonic devices, sorry, not demonic. That's when one of the sound effects should have been added, by the way. Yeah, I mean, it can also be applied to different subject matter and different domains of learning. Well, I think one of the other skills that we could teach is the journey system, or the Roman room system, where you basically associate a concept with an object in a room or in a storyline in order for them to remember certain details in a more hierarchical learning situation. There are different type of mnemonic devices that can be utilized in this website to further the understanding not only of the concept being explored, but concepts that are related in before and after this concept being explored. So, yeah.
Yeah, to delve deeper into what Ryan was talking about, mnemonics, you know, we were kind of talking about it before, is something that should be taught at the very earliest grade levels. And because before you start giving them concepts and principles and procedures, they need to really know how to organize their file cabinet for retrieval. And what Ryan was talking about as far as different ways to do it, LOCI is one way to do it, where you just kind of have a pre-mapped image in your mind, maybe your room or something. And the problem with math is, as far as this math website, is that numbers are abstract, and as are names. And so abstract things are very difficult to learn, and that makes the procedure part of it more important, so that they get the principle down. And, you know, one of the ways you can do it is just attach certain numbers to certain objects that are tangible, that have a meaning, and make some kind of ridiculous story out of it. And it's metacognitive, in that it's a way to refine your cognitive skills. And so that's what I have on that.
Very good, I agree. All right, so do you guys want to talk about procedures and how we can link those to the different generic skills, and also with the website and what we think we should add or delete in regards to the math dictionary site?
I think you should. Maybe you want to start off, Celia.
Yeah, I can. I know just one thing as far as linking the procedural skills, as far as just the basic going on the site and looking up whatever topic it may be, whether it's, length and measurement and just completing an activity on there and has directions that also can link to things that you can do in everyday life. For example, our lesson on the Google Sites and how it linked to step by steps. And then we were able to break it down even farther from creating a Google account to creating a website to creating templates to adding this and that. That can also feed into this website just having step by steps. But I definitely think there needs to be more added procedures to the site because there weren't very many. I mean, it was very minimal procedures that were on this site, especially if students were going to be getting on it and using it. It wasn't very detailed out to where they could do a lot of different things. It was very basic, simple things.
I agree.
Right. There seem to be more procedures for the teachers on how to print, the posters and so forth than there actually did for the students to help them retain the concepts. But it's absolutely imperative that they get the procedures down first. And there are some good examples in that website, but I just think it is so broad that the procedure will help kind of streamline the concepts that you're trying to teach out of the TEKS, and will make it easier for the kids to relate in their own way. Like Celia was talking about, the kids have to be able to relate it to something that they already know to kind of add to your schema to build it. Because if they don't have prior knowledge of stuff, then they are not going to be able to, apply these new terms and move up the chain of, Bloom's taxonomy into the higher level thinking eventually.
And I think the Bloom's taxonomy kind of ties in, since you brought that up, with the generic skill levels as far as, creating and evaluating and all of that kind of all ties in to one large piece of the puzzle with the generic skills, because you can make the generic skills into each one of the categories of Bloom's taxonomy where you're evaluating, just like we're evaluating this website and analyzing the different parts of this website. Those are all different categories of the Bloom's taxonomy. So.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Every one of those can tie into every step of Bloom's taxonomy.
So, I guess I'll go ahead and make a reference also. The generic skills that we've been talking about, I was reading a little bit. Bruce Elkins wrote a lot about generic skills and specific skills, and he was talking about generic skills also enabling us to generate new skills, and this kind of goes along with what we're talking about. Generate the new skills. It said not to mention new products, services, relationships, communities, etc., that help us succeed in novel situations, manage and adapt to change, and to flourish by creating what matters even in the face of adversity. So that, kind of goes along with us. You need these basic skills so you can build upon and learn different things, and they're kind of a stepping stone or a building block to learn additional things, and that kind of went along with that.
I just want to add and support, Celia, what you were saying about everyday life skills and generic skills going across core areas, core subject areas. And in this site, if they do more procedures like measuring is used in science with volume and mass and weight and distance and metrics, and not only traditional with inches and pounds. Recipes call for cups and half cups and all that, but it's a skill that kids need to know for a lifelong skill, and it is a procedure they need to know that goes across the different core elements and into everyday life. And so I can see procedures being added to this site and helping it out a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, by going across the different elements of life, I mean, it's domain independent it relies on several different, science, math, language arts, reading, writing, all of those skills tie in with that. I had a quote here from Victor C. Wang. It says, the title of the paper is Understanding and Promoting Learning Theories, and he talks about humans have different interpretations of learning theories and different beliefs about how people learn. And as we've studied several different types of behavioral theories ourselves in this course, all these beliefs may come from personal experience, like Sue was tying in, which is very important. If kids can relate these procedures to personal experience, self-reflection, observation of others, research, and through the experience of trying to teach or persuade someone else to one's own way of thinking. So it says, in a nutshell, everyone keeps learning every waking minute using different learning theories. So we do use a lot of generic skills, and the older you get, the more generic skills that you have obtained. It's almost like the procedures we were talking about a couple of modules ago. Are like, they're habitual, and I think the same with the generic skills. When you do a complex task at a certain level, you don't even think about it in terms of procedures. That way it frees up your mind to focus more on the process or the development of what you're going to do. So you can synthesize it or evaluate it. You're not tied down to the procedures anymore.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Anybody else have anything else on procedures, or we can move on to principles? All right. So we can talk about the principles of adding these generic skills, whether we want to add or delete, or how we think the principles apply to this. I can start and talk about it, and you guys can bounce off.
All right.
Talked about, and we kind of talked about this when we originally analyzed and evaluated the website and our group software critique, that we would have liked to see more grouping, maybe of like topics to where like capacity was together, and things like that, to where, and then under each like topic or group, it did be alphabetized, and then that would be a little more organized and grade specific wise. So if I'm going in, I teach third grade, and we're working on measurement or capacity, we could click on that, and it kind of zoned in rather than having to go through each letter of the alphabet, look for L, we're looking for length, or V, because we're looking for volume, and kind of tie it in that way.
I agree with you. I think it would also benefit the website if it was broken down into more of a hierarchical organization, where it starts off with the lower level learning concepts, and then builds up to the intermediate and the more deeper learning topics. So I think by organizing it by a broad concept, and then going almost chronologically from the lower level learning concepts to the higher learning level concepts would not only help the people that are coming to that website find out exactly where they need to be going to find the information, but it would also help build a deeper learning of the whole concept altogether by allowing a link in between the concepts or the actual vocabulary to be established, so that when they're viewing this one topic, they can also see the associated topics that are needed prior to that and after that. So I think by grouping these into like terms, or terms that are associated with each other, either independently or making a web of associations, would benefit this website and the learners at the same time.
I agree with both of them, and because again, it's so comprehensive, it becomes disjointed for individual grade level teachers to focus on. So if Celia is teaching third grade math to those kids, then she's got to do some prior prep and digging around to try to take out the terms that are going to, be the ones that she's responsible for teaching. But I looked at it from, I took some resources from the Texas Education Agency and just looked at the TEKS for the first, second, third, fourth, fifth grade, and that would also be a way to help get the actual terms and subdivide or make it hierarchical, so it goes, its levels of complexity go up. You don't start at the top. So, and I relied a lot on, I pulled up a lot of those TEKS, and you could easily group those into principles, and I think that would be necessary, rather than initially, when we were talking about it, saying divide it up into a maths dictionary for first grade, a maths dictionary for second grade, but you can subdivide from within, I think, just as well. And especially when you're putting the concepts or the procedures in, I think it'll make it stronger for them to retain that information.
Very good. And I agree, because nowadays it's hard to break it up by grade level, because nowadays, I mean, they start out learning about certain kinds of length all the way from kindergarten, all the way up through fifth grade. It's just a different level of complexity that, some things, it's a beginner stage that works up to the levels of complexity. That also ties to what Ryan was saying about having a lower order thinking and then all the way up to the higher order. So that would hit all grade levels for depending on what, exactly they were working on it within that one topic.
I think by limiting it to grade levels and TEKS specific, I think you kind of set I think you're limiting the ability of the teacher to whether their students whether their student population is advanced learners or those who are needing more help on certain topics. I think that kind of limits the ability to teach the organization. If we broke it down into those higher and lower learning orders, I think that would give them the ability to skip around and see what each student was capable of doing and working from that basis instead of organizing it by grade level.
Exactly.
And that just confirms the divergent nature of the site, where the kids can go at their own pace. It's student-centered, and so those that are more advanced can quickly go on to the higher levels, and those that are strugglers can go slowly, go at their own level, assess themselves, do the self-evaluation of themselves.
Yes. All right, I think we've covered pretty much all the points to go with questions 1 and 2. Does anybody else have anything else to add before we finish up?
Cool.
No, I think we're good.
All right.
Well, guys, I think we had a wonderful discussion this afternoon. I think we came to a unified understanding of the concepts in this module. I appreciate the time that you've spent to make sure that I understand it and we all had the same understanding. I wish you a wonderful night, and I will talk to you all later.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.